got a new doorknob. That is not the only new thing I'm going to be, well, not just me, or new part of my life that is going to be coming soon. We are moving. We're moving houses, and I have to be out of here by April 1st. So that's fun. I'm currently packing. I have to pack up my room tonight. The most difficult thing to pack and move is going to be all of my gear. But the new studio I'm gonna have, it's gonna be in a garage again, but this garage is far nicer and far larger, and I'm going to be expanding a lot. I can't really tell you much yet because I want it to be incorporated into the videos, but I also haven't really gotten a full idea and a complete saying of what I'm going to get and where it's going to be. Also, happy spring break to whoever is on it right now. I don't know if public schools are on it right now. But for spring break, I'm gonna try and have 3 videos out, including this one. And then I'm mainly just gonna be working on this new project that I am starting to get a little bit of an idea of. It's not set in stone yet, but it will be a thing. But for today, I know my desk is dirty. We have some production to handle, and y'all are going to be seeing it. I really haven't put up a really good production video yet, showing how I produce. Now for this track, I've already gotten a basic foundation down, and it's pretty much gotten to a completion when it comes to creating. But today I'm gonna be showing you how I make it sound pretty, how I make it sound quality, because there are a lot of things that go into that. Including cutting certain sounds that shouldn't really be as prominent and controlling what is loud and when. And I'm gonna be showing you how I do that. So throughout today, I'm gonna be moving towards production, and you may see a little bit of packing if I have time, but I highly doubt that I'll have time for that. Now Wednesday, there will be a video coming out about this. This. Don't want y'all finding out where I live. What's in here? That's a mystery. You all will find out Wednesday, and this is a pretty new type of video. I have not made a video like this, so I hope you guys are gonna enjoy it. I mean, I hope you guys enjoy most of my videos, if not all, but that's probably not the case. All right, well, I've got some work to do, so let's move over here. Oh, look at that. It's almost like magic. So this is the beginning of a new project that I'm starting, and I can't really tell you a lot because I'm showing you the song right now. So I can't tell you when this is going to come out or what it is about. I can just show you how I'm working on it for now. But as it's getting closer to coming out, obviously you will learn more about it. Throughout today, I'm mainly going to be compressing my drums and EQing. Which I will explain all of that. The only things I've really worked on are the synths. Everything else is really raw. Everything is dry. I just have an SSL channel, which I mainly use for volume control right here, and cleaning whatever I could not beforehand, which I rarely do. So this is just for volume control, mainly because I absolutely hate how small the faders are on this, on Ableton. So I like to use the SSL channel. It's also just nicer. So right now let's go through the drums, and I'm going to show you how I clean these up. So for all of my drums and my percussion, I use a bus reverb and a bus compression. Now, what a bus is, or a return is, are these channels. I only have 2. That's what I'm limited to right now. So what this does is it keeps me from applying the same tool and the same software to every channel. I can just have it on one channel that I can apply to all of my channels. What this does is it keeps my memory in my computer, my RAM, far lower. The MIDI storage is already peaking 20% on this project, and once it goes above 50, it's really incompatible to work with. It starts to slow down really bad. So I have a bus reverb and a bus compressor for my drums. This is also just to keep it at the same level, and I don't have to tweak all of them to change to what I want. I can just change the main compression and the main reverb. The reverb I love to use is the H reverb by Waves. Honestly, the best reverb I've ever seen. What I love about it is there's an EQ for the reverb. So if you don't want the low end to be reverberated, you can cut it all out. And if you want to boost the high ends, like the ticks in the sound, like the tss noises, you can really boost those. And if you don't want that, you can cut them, and vice versa. They have dampening. Still haven't really mastered that yet. I just kind of mess with it until I get what I want. A lot of modulation that you can do. There is so many parameters here that you can mess with. So this is probably one of the most useful reverbs I've seen. Normally a lot of them are very dry when it comes to the parameters. There are only about 6 things that you can change. This has different sections, and it's very, very useful. The compressor I use for my drum compression is the Abbey Road RS124. It's just all around an amazing compressor. There's no real nitty gritty to it. You really can just throw it on and do what you want really quick. You don't have to mess with it to get the sound that you want. What I love the most is the recovery speed. It's very simple, and I guess the increments that they've labeled, you can really know what you're getting after you use it for a while. If I know I'm putting it at 2, I know what it's going to sound like. I don't have to completely go up tick by tick to get what sound I want. I can just go by these larger increments. You have a bit of more swivel. It's not much of a click. But still, once you use it more and you know what it sounds like, you can just come up to it and be like, okay, I know I want 3. I know I want it to be a 3 on the recovery, and I know I want it to be 12 on the input. I got them for free, as a matter of fact, on Black Friday. Sweetwater.com really does some amazing deals when it comes to software and hardware. I'm going to turn off the sub kicks, the snare, and the hats. I'm just leaving the main groove that I produced on. And what EQ I use the SSL EQ. If you can't tell, I love SSL. So what EQ does, you have your low frequencies, your middle frequencies, with the SSL EQ, it's a low, middle, and high middle. So you have your lows, your low middles, your high middles, and your highs. You can cut and push whatever you want, and you can choose what frequency and the shape that you want. Now, to understand what I'm saying, you really need to know what EQ is. Separate video about EQ, which I will probably make. So I'm going to be EQing these drums. I'm going to be EQing all of this red. I doubt I'm going to mess with my synth because I've already done what I want to do with these. I use a separate compressor on my synths just because it's very, very specific if you're compressing synths. So this first channel, I created the groove with a drum pad that my friend brought over. It's a Native Instruments, the machine. Extremely useful. I'm gonna need to invest in one. I would if I weren't miking up my drum set. That is literally an analog drum pad. The rest is supporting that feel. It's not as punchy, and it's certainly not as prominent. So I'm going to try and reduce these 3 and keep this one as the main groove. So with this one, I'm going to probably push the lows because it has my main kick, but not the subs. The sub is where my sub kick comes in. That really puts the rumble in the kick when you're listening to it in a car or with your headphones. And these are things that you really, really need to pay attention to. You need to think, okay, yeah, it sounds this way on my speakers, but how's it going to sound on AirPods, headphones, and take it out to your car, because this is what people are going to be listening to it on. They're not going to be listening to it on monitors like I am. Well, they may, but very unlikely when you have too much of one frequency, it really starts to get muddy. You need to think of it as saving as much information as you can. So if I have a lot of highs going on down here, I can't be leaving the highs in. I need to save that information for these down here. Now, as you start to listen, you can start to understand what I mean by cutting and pushing. And if you're listening to this on your phone, you probably won't hear that difference. You really need to have headphones on or a nice set of speakers to really hear that difference when it's an individual track. But when these are all put together, they need to fit with each other, or else it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to be muddy. You can't have that. So I'm going to move on to these other layered tracks, and these are far more subdued than this main track, so I'm going to try and push their prominent parts and leave out the parts that are already in this, because like I said, you can't have too much of one thing going on at once. So as you can tell, these three tracks below this are far less prominent than this one, this main track. But they all fit together when I put them together because of how I cut them and how I made space for each of them. So I want to quickly go through my sub kicks and my hats. So out of these two, this bottom one is more clicky than how rumbly and bassy this top one is. So I need to leave out all the highs in the bass one so that this one can fit together well. And I need to leave out the lows so that they can fit together. It's not going to overwhelm each other. They come together very nicely when you leave space for each of them to work with each other. That's what they need to do. They need to work with each other to get the sound that you want. You need to listen to these sounds and think, okay, what is prominent in the sound and how can I make this other prominent sound fit together to make one whole sound? I suck at explaining sound and like trying to find your own sound, because that's up to you. Finding your own sound is really up to you, and that's just going to take time. So I'm going to turn off all the EQs that I just applied, and I'm going to let you listen to the difference. As you can see, they start to compete with each other, because when you're starting to take these, especially if you're recording drums off of microphones, you're taking this analog sound and digitizing it. It becomes information, and these pieces of information need to compete with each other to fit into one render process that you're going to make a product at the end. You're going to have to render all these tracks together into one track on one piece of information, and a lot of people forget to realize that. So I'm going to move on to the hi-hats and the ride cymbals that I used in the pad, and also the snare that I'm going to be layering with the main snare. As you heard, as soon as I turn these hi-hat channels on, because they aren't EQ'd, they immediately punched through all of these layered tracks. These two tracks punched through all of these, so I need to subdue them a bit and make space. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright, so I messed around with it, and I used a preset and tweaked it to my own sort of preset, I guess you could say. So, with these A and B knobs, it refers to bus A and bus B, my reverb and my compression. You can really overdo it with reverb, but as one of my favorite engineers, Chris Lord Algae, says, you don't be afraid with compression. Just go all in with compression. That's what he loves to do. So I'm going to be adding channel B to these channels and start to level them out and get them going through these dynamics together. That's what a compressor does. It makes the quiet parts loud and the loud parts quiet when they need to be. It makes it move, which I'm going to, probably in the video where I go over how EQ works, I'm going to go over compression. So now that I've gotten all these to move together, I'm going to try and put them all in the same space. And the way that you do that is to give it space with reverb. And I'm going to put most of this percussion in the same space so it doesn't sound like different, so it doesn't sound like different instruments in different spaces. It needs to sound like it's in the same, it needs to sound like it's in the same auditorium, in the same hallway, in the same stage. Hello.
Hi, is this Christian Trevino?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Christian. My name is Bree. I'm a student employee here with the UIW's Residence Life Office. How are you doing today?
I'm good, how are you? Yeah, I couldn't find a space to type it in.
Okay. Let me put you on a quick hold. Let me see if we could see on our end through the director's view.
Alright, well, I was going to do the reverb, but then I had to make a phone call. Well, I got called by a college that I'm applying to, and it had to do with housing, so I had to take that, and that took about 30 minutes of my time. So, I just wanted to make a quick production video, and Wednesday, you're gonna find out what's in that box, and it's gonna be an interesting video, and yeah, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all Wednesday.